Welcome to Jay's Sports. I'm your host, Joe Chap. Detroit Pistons basketball, and the Detroit Pistons have won their fifth straight. They win tonight over the Brooklyn Nets in a very convincing win over the Brooklyn Nets, 113-98. They're officially fifth, half game out of the sixth seed, as the Miami Heat looked like they're free falling because of the Jimmy Butler situation. And I just sit here and I say, a year ago, we had no idea where the Pistons were going. I mean, think about it. A year ago, at this time last year, the Pistons were one of the worst teams in basketball. One of the worst teams in basketball. And I didn't think that the talent, it was because of talent. Obviously, we knew more often than not the coaching was the issue. But as we've seen with JB Bickerstaff and the way this team has really orchestrated themselves into be one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference, in my opinion, especially as of late. They won five straight. They're over 500 for the first time since whenever. I think the first time they're over 500 since they're I can't remember the last time they were over 500. But right off the hop, like you just look at this Pistons team and you go, I knew they were capable of something. I think everyone that follows the Pistons, they knew they were capable of something. I mean, there's too much talent. Jalen Duren is a talented player. Jaden Ivey, which he's out for a significant amount of time, he's a talented player. What about Cade Cunningham? He's starting to play like the Cade Cunningham that we thought was going to be the number one overall pick. And I find it fascinating that the reason that this team has taken a total turn for the better is because of their coaching. Yeah, think about it like this. Last year the coaching wasn't sufficient enough. The coaching was not sufficient enough. And the coaching struggled to get things done. And they struggled to make this team a better team. And as we went on, we figured that Monty Williams was just here for the money. He wasn't here to build the Pistons into a better team. And as I look at this Pistons team and as I look at them making the strides that they're making, first of all, I could say this. Whenever you look at fundamentals, whenever you look at teams going against the grain, you look at the Pistons and the fundamental culture that they're building. You know, the Pistons haven't had a culture in quite some time, even with Dwayne Casey. They haven't had that culture of winning. They haven't had a culture that, you can build around. And obviously, Kate Cunningham is a huge portion of this culture, but you're trying to build a culture. And I think JB Bickerstaff is a good way to build the culture. And JB Bickerstaff has done a damn good job at being the coach of the Detroit Pistons. You look at across the board at this coaching landscape in the state of Michigan, I'm just perplexed of where we were a year ago compared to where we are now. You look at with the Red Wings, they fired Lalone, and Todd McLennan has been a breath of fresh air. JB Bickerstaff for Monty Williams, Dusty May for Jawan Howard. Just coaching staff change, and you could see those teams really be better than they were the last couple of years. I look at the Pistons and I did never thought it was a talent issue. I never thought for a million years that this was a talent issue. Of course, obviously there's insufficient talent compared to the rest of Eastern Conference teams. Like, are they on the same phrase of the Boston Celtics? No. Jason Tatum's an all-world player, but I think Cade Cunningham could become that all-world player. But you look across the board and you're just like, there is talent here. What coach is going to make them into a talented winning team so they could build off that? That's the biggest thing that people don't understand is the Pistons. They're a team that's talented. You could see it from like the broad spectrum. Even if you're not a Pistons fan, you don't follow the Pistons or none of that jazz. You could see this team is talented. You could see that they're a team that's ready to win, games. They didn't have the coaching. And I look at the coaching here and I go, this is where you could build fundamental culture building. You could build Cade Cunningham into being a winning player. Cade Cunningham being able to become a better player, become a better teammate, become a better leader. This is what you like to see. And JB Bickerstaff is the guy who got fired in Cleveland. No one's making him into be Larry Brown or Greg Popovich or Steve Kerr, but what he's doing with this Pistons team is something that can't be understated. They're learning how to win. These young players are learning how to win at the highest levels. They're learning how to play basketball at a winning level. They're starting to, you could see it just watching them. They're figuring out ways that they can win games. They're figuring out ways that they can, go about and try to keep the winning streak alive. And I think this is only going to help the Pistons out moving forward. The Pistons are doing a damn good job at keeping what they're doing. But looking down the stretch, like this is a team that I don't believe they're just a playing team. I don't believe the Pistons are just a playing team. I believe they're a playoff team. I believe they can get the 6th seed. I believe that they're gonna start hitting their strides. This is where they're gonna start hitting their strides going into 2025. I think Cade Cunningham's becoming the player that we always thought he was gonna be. You see other players contributing at a high level. Jalen Duren, Tobias Harris. Fantacchio, the little Italian guy. It's refreshing because the Pistons have not been refreshing for years. They've been stale. And JB Bickerstaff has done a damn good job at reinserting the culture of what they were going to build in Detroit. And you're starting to see the Detroit culture from the Pistons perspective be built. You can't build a culture losing. You just can't. But you can build a culture by just figuring out ways to win. And this Pistons team is doing a damn good job at figuring out ways to win. I'm excited for the future for this Pistons team. I think they have a lot of things to look forward to. They can obviously get better. We'll see what they do at the trade deadline because I think they can get better at the trade deadline as well. But look, this Pistons team is hitting their strides. And I look no further than JB Bickerstaff making the necessary moves to make them into a team that could be fun to watch. This is good for Cade Cunningham. This is good for this young nucleus of players on the roster, and it's good just to build a culture here in Detroit. The Pistons haven't had a culture in years. They haven't had a culture of winning. You can't build a culture without winning. And I think the Pistons are finally doing it here, where they're learning ways to win. They're doing it the right way. They're playing fundamental basketball. Cade Cunningham has become the player that we all thought he would be as the number 1 overall pick. And it's refreshing, man. That's all I can say about it. Them winning their 5th straight today, it's not an indictment of what they've been this whole year. This whole year, I've watched this Pistons team, and I've been more and more impressed by the way that they play. The results don't always speak to how they're playing. But now the results are starting to speak to how the Detroit Pistons are playing. So I can't be more proud of the Detroit Pistons. I think they're heading towards a really good spot in this season. And I think they're going to hit their strides. And I think they're a damn good team. I think a lot of people, myself included, didn't expect them to be you just got to watch them and just look at them and see how they play. They're a good team. They're not a great team, but they're a good team. And I think that they can make the playoffs without the play-in. But we'll see what happens moving forward. But all the confidence in the world in the Detroit Pistons, especially JB Bickerstaff, because I think they're a damn good team. As always, we're going to have Detroit Pistons commentary. We're going to have Michigan State, everything on this JC Sports YouTube page. Follow us on Facebook at JC Sports, Instagram at JC Sports, X at Detroit Joe Chap, and Joe Chap Sports on TikTok. We will see you guys in the next video as we talk more Detroit Pistons basketball here on JC Sports.